Hello, it's Stiff David here, and this is going to be the first of a number of sessions looking at yoga for people like you, people who are stiff. And whenever you go to a yoga class or whenever you see a yoga class on YouTube, you find that you simply can't reach that toe, or I can't get my leg over my neck, or whatever it is. And for me, yoga is not predominantly about flexibility. This yoga is about finding ease and comfort within our body, ease, comfort, and coordination. So if you've got a nice flexible body, you can go and find another session on YouTube. If you'd like to just find that little bit more ease and work in a way that's not going to create discomfort or injury in your body, you might just like to join this session that we're going to do now. So you'll notice I'm sitting on the floor at the moment. Now I'm sure a lot of you are not going to be able to sit on the floor very easily, but what you might notice is that I've got a little support under me here so that I don't have to sit right back on my feet. I have this under. If I was a little stiffer than I am at the moment, and if I was as stiff as some of you may be, I could be even higher. So with this series of classes, we're wanting to move in a way in which we really keeping the ease and openness and expansion through our body. We're not wanting to move into pain in our neck, our back, our hips, our knees, any areas of injury. Okay, so for this very first class, we're going to need a few props. And for most of my classes, we're going to need things to help and aid us within the classes. So for this first class, we're going to need some books. Okay? So these books, in a moment, we're going to put under your head. And you're going to be lying on the floor. So this very first class, we're going to be looking at just lying with the support of the floor, because we're looking in this class to really get an ease and an opening and expansion through the back, and just that little more ease and flexibility through the spine and the legs. And we're going to do that in a way that's easy, comfortable, pleasurable, and also relaxing. Now, the other thing we'll need is 2 belts. Okay, I've got a couple of belts here. You may have a belt that sort of fits around your pants. You may have a towel. You may have something like that. So these are the things that you'll need for this session. So if you can find those, you could just stop the video for a little while, find those, and then come back to the session and we'll move on from there. Okay, so I've got my books and I've got my belt, and I'm going to now lie on my back with my head on the books. Now, the amount of books we need will vary from person to person. What I'm wanting is I need to be easy through the neck and through the back. So I have really quite a lot of books for my particular structure. Not everyone will have this many books. This is really a lot. Some people may only have a couple. So I don't want my chin to be pushed into my throat, and I don't want my head to be dropped back. So I will be lying back with my head on the books. I'll just show you briefly what happens if my head isn't on the books, because this will happen to some of you, especially for men, that, can you see my head just drops right back there. It's not so comfortable. So I'll put those books back under my head, and you'll put probably less books for most of you, but just see, we've got to find ease and comfort there. And then you'll notice that I've actually got my feet and my knees bent, and my feet are on the floor. Because if I take my legs out along the floor, if you take your legs out along the floor, you may find that this lower back really gets pulled up. So what we'd like to happen here, and this will happen maybe a little over time, is that we get this lower back a little more in contact with the floor, but I'm not trying to push it onto the floor. A lot of you will find that you have quite a little gap through here in the lower back. We may just lift the pelvis a little, slide that away, but just stay with whatever gap you have there. Don't get too worried or too focused around that. And then we're just going to lie here for a moment, and I just wanting to find that ease and that contact of the back with the floor. Now in the beginning, especially if we've got a rather tight back, it may feel a little knobbly, a little uneven, but we're just going to lie here for a little, and I can think from here of just that ease. I've got the ease through the neck. Because I'm on the floor, my whole back can begin to gradually soften and release in that contact with the floor. So the back will gradually widen and expand. And also, because I have my head up, it puts the spine in just a very slight traction there. So I'm thinking of that little length through the spine or through the torso, and the ease of the back on the floor, and then I catch any extra gripping I might be doing in the legs, and I just then want to have the knees as much as possible, they're just coming straight up to the ceiling, so I've got a sense of support from under the feet, coming up to the knees, coming back to the pelvis, coming right to the lower back, and extending through the torso. And as we're here now, we may just bring the arms up into the air. So as I'm taking the arms into the air, I could think of letting this whole shoulder blade move up and a little off the floor. But I'm keeping the neck free. And then from here I may take the arms a little over the head, but as I'm doing that, I want to make sure that I'm not pulling the lower back off the floor. So some of you will find at a certain point of coming back, we'll start to push the ribs up and the lower back off the floor. So we want to just maintain that contact of the lower back with the floor, and as I have my arms out here, then I'm connecting to this whole length and expansion up my side. So I've got the length up through the front, I've got the length through the back, I've got the length through the sides, and I'm connecting that out through and into the arms and right towards the hands, as though I've got little maybe little ropes on my fingers there which are taking me in that direction, and I'm beginning to get this expansion up through the sides. And then we can bring the arms back. And then we can just find ourselves lying here, find that ease of the back with the floor. Find the ease of the breathing. And each time we do a movement, we want you to come back to just noticing how we are in the contact with the floor, how we are with the breathing. Just an awareness that nothing is we're not going to be working into strain or discomfort. And we're really looking to create, over time, we're going to create the maximum amount of space through the torso. So this time we're going to take hold of one of your belts. So I've got a belt here. And then I'm going to press, so I'm pressing the one foot into the floor. I'm pressing my right foot into the floor. And at the same time then I can begin to bend this left knee up towards me. And then I'm going to put the belt around the sole of this foot. So if you're even less flexible than me, you may find the foot doesn't come quite as far up, but do as little struggling to get that belt around your foot as you can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring the leg up here. So what we're going to do, we're going to be getting a stretch, particularly through the hamstrings here. You may also feel there's a little stretch with the back that goes with that. But in order to stretch the hamstrings, I do not need to straighten the knee. I can have the knee that little bent, and then with the arms, I'm taking the belt and I'm giving a little pull, a little stretch with the belt, and at the same time I'm sending my heel up towards the floor, towards the ceiling. Yep. Okay, so you may be less flexible than me, you may be more flexible, it doesn't really matter. We're going to take it up here. At the same time, you'll notice I've got my elbows that little out to the side. So think of the elbows coming a little out and a little down or towards my feet or towards the pelvis, so that I want to avoid pulling the arms into the torso and tightening the shoulders and neck. So at the same time I can think I've really got that space between the base of the neck and the tip of the shoulders. And then from the tip of the shoulders, there's an expansion out to the arms. Now the other thing I'd like you to be aware of in this is that as we're doing this movement, I've got my knee is sort of pretty much pointing in the direction of my shoulder. So I don't want to be rotating the leg in and have the knee facing my nose. And if you are doing that and you just think of doing that little rotation of the leg, you'll find you've got more flexibility, more space actually in the hip joint. And then I can bring the foot down from there. Good. I'm just noticing the ease of my breathing. And then I'm going to be pressing the left foot a little into the floor as I begin to bring this right leg up. So again, I bring the belt around the sole of that foot and I begin to take that leg up into the air. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I'm aware of the ease of my neck. I'm aware of the length and width and expansion of the back. I'm aware of the freedom of the jaw. I'm not gripping through my jaw or face. And I'm just there with the very easy flow of the breath, of the breathing. And as I'm here, I may stay just that little longer. If all the stretch is behind the knee, and these knee ligaments, you can bend the knee a bit more, but you'll still try to work the stretch into the belly of the muscle. So we're not working it just in those big ligaments behind the knee. It should be a pleasant sense of stretching there. And then I can bend that leg and I'll bring the foot onto the floor. And I can rest here for a moment. And as I'm here now, just having done that movement, I can suddenly see I've got that little more ease through my back. Okay, that lower back. The lower back that for so many of us tends to be tightened and contracted and pulled in, has just begun to release that a little more, so that it's really beginning to expand that little more onto the floor. So I can just lie here for a moment and enjoy that sensation. I can just, as I'm lying here, I can just see if I can notice if I'm holding any excess gripping anywhere in the body. I can think of sending these knees up to the ceiling and up from under the ball of the foot to the ceiling. Okay? And then this time we're going to work now with 2 belts. So I've got, and I'm going to put a belt then around the sole of each foot. So I'll bend the one knee up, I'll put the belt around the sole of the foot, and I'll bend the other one up, I'll put the belt around the sole of that foot, and then I'm going to take the legs up, and then I'm going to begin to take those legs out to the side. Okay, so I can think with that pull through the belt with the weight of the legs, and I've got that expansion out of the arms, so the arms aren't being pulled in to the torso. My breathing is free, and I've got that stretch then on the inside of my thighs, or the adductors. I've got that stretch and opening through there. And it really helps for those of us who are tighter just to spend a little time. We're just really allowing the passive weight, the weight of the legs to passively stretch those muscles. Again, all of these poses we're doing, we should be absolutely comfortable in the back, in the knees. So whatever we're doing, we're not working into knees, neck, back. And then I just notice, I'm doing a little bit of extra gripping, I find, in my arms, in the shoulders. I might find I'm doing this little extra gripping of my breath, of my breathing. I might find I'm doing this little extra gripping through my neck. So it's just really taking the awareness through the whole of the body, that we know that we're looking to get that stretch on the inside of the legs. And I'm not wanting to get that sort of stretch at the expense of gripping elsewhere. Okay, and then I can bring the feet back to the centre, and I can bend the knees. I can bring the feet onto the floor. So So far all very easy, very simple movements, very effective movements. You may already begin to feel that little bit more of a flow of energy through the body, a little more sense of ease in the body. You may notice that the breathing is opened and expanded a little with that. So just enjoying that sense and that awareness of a little more ease and openness and expansion as we're lying here. All right then, so having done those couple of stretches using the belt, this time we can leave the belt aside. We're just going to work before we finish the session on a couple of twists. Now it's really important when we're twisting that we're not working into any strain in the back or around the sacrum, around the pelvis. And there's quite a number of different twists we can do on the floor. I'm just going to demonstrate one and a sort of a little variation around that now if this particular one doesn't work so well for you. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to lift my pelvis slightly up and a little to my left. Okay, so that it's still the pelvis is flat on the floor. And then I'm going to bend my knees up towards me. I could take my arms out to the side and I'm going to begin to rotate these legs off to the side. Now, I can do this fairly easily, getting both legs up and over here. And I'm rotating the upper, thinking of just that little rotation of the upper torso. Some of you may find that's not quite as easy. We might just rest the feet on the floor and just come to the point where I've got that length, the expansion up my side, and if I'm feeling my lower back, I put my hand on the lower back, I want to make sure that it's not really being contracted in, that the lower back's comfortable, or if I can bring the legs further up, that will give me a little more rotation, and I'm rotating my head in the opposite direction to my legs and pelvis. And I want to find a place here in which I'm comfortable. I don't feel a strain in my back. I don't feel a strain in the shoulders. I don't feel a strain in my neck. But I just got that easy rotation through the torso, more through the upper torso. Some of you may get a little stretch also down the side here. And it's a place I can just lie here for a little. And then I can bring myself back to the center. And then I can bring my pelvis back. It's back central now. I just noticed how that's worked for me. We're always wanting to notice how particular poses have worked for us. Do I have a sense that I've got more openness and expansion? Maybe I've tightened up a little on that, in which case I need to refine what I'm doing. I'm moving my pelvis to the right so I can rotate to the left. So I'm moving my pelvis to the right so I can rotate to the left. Often in a yoga class, physical yoga class, I'll often come around to people. I'll put a hand here on the shoulder and a hand here on the top of the pelvis. I want to think of a length up from here, from the shoulder to the top of the pelvis. I want to be aware I've got space between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the pelvis. And again, I'm finding it easy degree of rotation here. It's one that I can ease into, and it's one that I can breathe into. I don't want to be feeling the lower back or the sacroiliac joint. And I can just stop here for a moment longer. And then I'm coming back to the centre. And I'm going to bring my pelvis central. And again, I just find that ease through the torso, through the back, through the breathing. And then finally for this session, I'm just going to do one other movement, which is really, it's a sort of a twist. I'm going to be interlocking my fingers behind my head. And I don't want you to do this as a real crunch. The idea behind this is really finding the flexibility of the ribs, so that from here I can come up. I'm going to rotate the one elbow, the left elbow in the direction of the right knee, and the right knee in the direction of the left elbow. Okay, they may get together, but they probably won't. And as I'm here, I can talk without my talking being impacted. If I really strain for that, you can hear it affects my breathing and my voice a little. Yeah, so I'm coming up from one side, and then I could do the same to the other side. So I could stay up here for maybe 3 breaths. And then I come down, I bring my head on the book. So I come right back to neutral, and then I'm coming up this way again. So I'm going to do this a total of 3 times on each side. This is my second time. 1, 2, 3 breaths. And then I come down. And I seem to be getting longer doing this. And then again, I'm going to do this again. Left elbow to right knee. And down. And right elbow to left knee. And down. Okay, so you may need to adjust the books a little after that. You may need to find that little ease through the back. And then we can just lie here for 2 or 3 minutes. So as I'm lying here, I can either take my arms out to the side. As I take them out to the side, I want to think of keeping the width, the expansion under the armpit, so I'm not pulling my arms in. Or I could bend at the elbows and rest the hands here. And then as we're here, we just find that, again, that settling of the whole back with the floor, so we can begin to get that opening, expansion and width through the back. And as we go on in other sessions, I'll give you more instructions around just this final resting point. It's been called constructive rest. in the Alexander technique. So I normally prefer that to the corpse pose of just taking the legs out and the head without anything under it. It certainly works better for me, it works better for a lot of people. And you might just want to stay there a little longer than that again. Right, so we've found the ease of the back, the ease of the breathing. So this is really our first session of what I call smart yoga. Smart yoga. And I'm really aiming these towards people with a level of stiffness for whom normal yoga classes don't work, but it's certainly not only for them. It's just going to work for everyone, just finding that ease and opening and expansion. So I'll see you next time. Bye.